Shrikant, over to you.
Thank you, Anand, and thank you all members and ODEX. Let's give me an introduction as we have researched a lot on this, and we have come up with a most simplified manner in which we can decipher SCMTR uh, rather than the devil that it's being made out of. Uh, can we just start with the notification, please, Rohit, Swapnil? Well, yeah. So we have decided and we have deciphered the concept of SCMTR, Sea Cargo Manifest and Transshipment Regulations 2018. And we are going to explain this using 5W1H concept. So means most simplified. So this is a notification issued on 23rd of June 2020 by Ministry of Finance Department of Revenue, very clearly identifies the main stakeholders who will be involved in the implementation or application of SCMTR. And this is coming to effect tonight, 0000 hours. That is 1st of August, tomorrow morning. So I will try to take you through this presentation on SCMTR in a most simplified manner. So the most important parameter here is for ANCs. ANC is authorized other notified carriers. Now there are two categories. There are unregistered users and registered users. Unregistered users, there is no differentiation between the practices that we used to follow earlier under the IGM rule. The same practices will get continued in SCMTR. You just need to submit your HBL and MBL details to the carrier, consolidator, or USCCs. They will file the CSN number on your behalf. You don't need to have any registration. At the same time, in case of registered users, they can submit their HBL, MBL details as per SCMTR requirements to customs, get the CSN number, and share the CSN number wise HBL details and MBL details to the carrier or the ANC, that is and then by ANC will file their OBL and their direct BLs along with the CSNs received from the forwarders who have filed their CSNs, and a aggregated CSN structure with OBL details will be submitted to the carrier for filing the MCIN. The point of note here is the CSN is always will be per HBL, and a direct MCIN will go with the OBL, whichever is one. It has to be only one CSN number per entry. Next, yeah. So why is the question here? Why? Customs wants to migrate into an advanced system where this is the first time it's coming to effect. It's coming to effect on 28th August, and this will help the customs to track the shipment end-to-end basis, PCIN to MCIN. Everybody is connected. First time the customs will know the entire cargo that is entering Indian territorial waters. And SCMTR is based on the European manifestation regulations, and it is similar where a single MCIN will be applicable across all Indian ports. You don't have to file multiple IGM numbers as is the case today with every port of entry. It's a single MCIN number per vessel calling at all Indian ports starting with the first port of call. And for imports, you have to file your CSN at the port of destination, that is here. And for the exporter, at the port of loading or at the port of acceptance, means the place of receipt of cargo. Plus, there is additional information which an exporter or a custom booker has to file is the e-seal for every factory stuff container. Whenever you have that, earlier exporter has to submit this through the their e-seal vendor website. Now it is going to go directly to the customer. That is where why and where is covered here. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, when do you have to file the CSN or submit the documents? Now, if you take into India West Coast, you have the closest ports coming in as Karachi, Jebel Ali, Sohar, Jeddah, and Port Said, where the vessel may come and direct into into India. Singapore Port Klang on the eastern, Singapore Port Klang Colombo, and for West Coast, and Singapore Port Klang Colombo for the East Coast. Now, when you take into consideration the transit times, Karachi Mundra, the first port of call, is about 24 to 36 hours. That's Mundra and Nhava Sheva. Followed to the maximum transit time is about 6 to 10 days. That is Jeddah Port Said into Nhava Sheva directly or into Indian port. You have to average days is anywhere before 48 hours to 8 days before the arrival of the vessel. You have to submit your documents directly to the carrier, or you file the ISN and share the details to the carrier. So you have to get all the information and documents from your importers minimum 10 to 12 days before the arrival of the vessel to be on the safer side. European side, US side, all coming in will be all ports. Mostly it will be calling via Colombo. So you have about 5 days to 6 days before arrival of vessel. However, it goes to see how the carriers are going to declare what date they want the documents in advance. Next slide for me. Now, these are the stakeholders that is covered, who all are required to do what. First in the line is the carriers, the shipping lines and vessel agents, classified under ASC and ASA, authorized sea carrier and authorized steamer agent or sea agent. They will be filing SAM, that is a sea arrival manifest, sea amendment, sea arrival amendment, sea departure manifest, sea departure amendment, sea departure notice, and CSN. CSN is for direct BLs or OBLs, where there is no house involved. Now, here is an important point which I would like people to know is, it goes on to see how the carriers will help in identifying to help the trade by filing SAA to cover any omissions or delays in filing the CSN by the trade. Next in line is the ANC, the biggest block of forwarders, NUCC's consolidators. You will be filing your CSNs directly as per the actual HBL, where the importer is a final consignee with the customs, and then along with your MBL details, and then share these details to the carrier for filing the MCIN. IC holders, as I explained earlier, they will be filing the e-seal submission, and that is both for custom brokers as well as exporters for FCL containers, factory stuff, export. Railways, truckers, coastal vessel operators, they are classified under authorized carrier or transhipper. Now, transhipper has to file the cargo inland manifest, arrival manifest, and departure manifest. Now, there is a deviation here from the IGM rule. That is, there is no like a local console or local IGM local IGM will not be filed at the ICDs. The IGM, the CSN filed and MCN filed at the port of loading, at the port of discharge will continue to all the locations since for ICDs and CFSs. Port terminals are the authorized terminal operators. They file arrival manifest, departure manifest, plus they also have to file 2 more reports, that is sailing or berthing report and sailing report. The offloading report of the total number of containers loaded and offloaded, and the sailing arrival confirmation and departure confirmation. Now, custodians and that is ICDs and CFS, they have a dual role here. They play a role of the transhipper, where there is no when the movement is by road and the road operator transporter is not a transhipper. They again file the cargo inland manifest, arrival manifest, departure manifest, plus they have to file a stuffing report in case of exports and stripping report in case of imports for LCL consolidation or de-stuff deliveries. Now comes to the how. Next slide, please. This is a summary of what data is to be submitted by whom at what stage. Here, the first column is the forwarders or the ANC filing the CSN will require their MBL details, and you have to file the details as per the VCN. And this is the most important point, that is the second block on the left-hand side. These are the details you have to submit. So I will suggest that most forwarders who are getting LCL shipments submit their documents to the consolidator who are experts in filing such documents with a CSN. And then the rest of the information is same. Additional information that you file is In case of a notified party, you have to file the GSTN or PAN number. And apart from that, you have to submit another additional invoice numbers, invoice value, current invoice currency, HSN codes. You have to here submit only the common HSN codes. You don't have to transmit the entire shipping bill HSN codes. And rest of the information is the same as you were filing earlier. In case of carrier, they will file the CSN number for all the direct OBLs or state BLs, and then aggregate all the CSNs with the CSNs of their OBLs and submit to the customs, with which will be called as a MCIN. The only important point is MCIN has to be filed at the first port of call into India. It can be Cochin, it can be Mundra, it can be anywhere. If the vessel is going to continue to call the additional Indian ports, the same MCIN number will be applicable for across all ports in India. No different IGM as per arrival. This thing. Trucker, railways, custodians as a transhipper will file their arrival manifest and departure manifest based on the MCIN number and CSN numbers. In case of exports, PCIN numbers. In case of imports, MCIN and CSN. In case of exports, it is PCIN number based, because CSN and MCN will be filed much later. And again, it is the custodian departure point of the custodian inland and port, and vice versa, with ETA, ETA, ETD arrival timing also, with their own bond number to ensure that cargo is transiting on the transhipper's bond. Custodian will be playing the same role as a transhipper in case there is the movement is by road, when there is no transhipper road trucker available. And apart from this, they will file an arrival manifest and a departure manifest, stuffing report, and a shipping report. And these will be filed in case of exports based on PCIN number, in case of imports based on MCIN and CSN numbers. Finally, the port terminal, as covered, port terminal will be covering with MCIN number and date, CSN number and date, and they will file the arrival manifest and departure manifest along with sailing notification, vessel sailing and vessel berthing notification, and along with loading and unloading of the total number of containers as per the vessel. That covers all that is SAMDR in the simplest and easiest possible manner.